failure to pray may cost us more than we can possibly imagine. Hi, this is Barry Phillips with 10-Minute Torah, day number 5 of the Torah portion, Pinchas. And before we get into Bamidbar, Numbers chapter 27, normally I wait to the end of Friday's episode to wish you Shabbat Shalom, but I'm going to do all that up front because I normally have to rush through, and I just want to take a moment and say thank you for all of those who watch 10-Minute Torah, for those who share on your social media pages, for those who send your comments, ask questions, some even support. And if you want to do that, you can go to Remnant of Israel, Israel spelled Yisrael, Remnant of Israel. There's a donate button on the front page. If you do that, it's very much appreciated. If you don't, it's okay. I just appreciate you watching and sharing, and I want to see 10-Minute Torah reach as many people as is possible in order to further the word of Yah and to build his kingdom. Shabbat Shalom to you, to all your family, your friends, those that you love that gather with you. If you are by yourself, I applaud you. I stand in the stands and cheer. I admire you greatly for your tenacity, for your faithfulness, and for just enduring until Yah provides others that will walk with you. So you're the real heroes in the Hebraic Roots community. No one stands taller than you do. May Yah's favor, blessing, and presence, may his joy be upon you as you celebrate Shabbat with him. Step into his presence. Now, Bamidbar, Numbers chapter 27, verse 1. Then came the daughters of Zelophehad, son of Hepher, son of Gilad, son of Machir, son of Manasseh, from the clans of Manasseh, son of Joseph. And these were the names of his daughters, Malach, Noach, Hagla, Milcah, and Tirzah. And they stood before Moshe and before Eleazar the priest and before the leaders and all the congregation by the doorway of the tent of appointment, saying, Our father died in the wilderness, yet he was not in the company of those who were met together against Yahweh, in the company with Korah, but he died in his own sin, and he had no sons. Why should the name of our father be removed from among his clan because he had no son? Give us a possession among the brothers of our father. And then Moshe brought their case before Yahweh. So we have a particular case of inheritance rights is the question here. It would be, as you look down through the list of how things are going to be allotted to the tribes, and we understand then it is through the male son breaking apart of each family that the allotments are given. These women, all sisters, don't have anyone to inherit for them. So they would be left standing on the sidelines with nothing. They bring their case to Moshe. Moshe says, wait right here, I'll be right back. He goes to inquire of Yah, and Yah says they have a valid point. Now, the conclusion of the matter was they may marry into their inheritance, but they must marry within the tribe of Manasseh. In other words, that which would normally fall to a son that they could share in, which would be within the tribal allotment of Manasseh. If they marry within the tribe of Manasseh, they receive an inheritance that way. They can't marry outside of the tribe and then receive an inheritance that would not have been theirs if they were a male. Not going to get into the male-female differences here. That's something else for another time. Let's consider two thoughts. Number one, and this is very important, if they had not asked, they would not have received. So when we fail to ask, pray, we may be missing out on much more than what's possibly in our imagination. You have not because you ask not, the word says, or because you ask amiss. That's from the book of James or Yaakov. If we're not praying and asking and inquiring because we're afraid we're going to be told no, we may be missing out on some things. Sometimes in prayer, you need to push out against whatever your perceived boundaries are, feeling your way through until you find the no spot. Where Yah says, there is where my boundary is for you. Now you have an understanding of what the arena of acceptance and permissiveness, or not permissiveness, permission, where Yah is wanting you to walk in. You got to push the boundaries just a little. Now, we're not talking about being flagrant and going over into the arena of sin. I'm talking about searching Yah for things that you see, that you dream of, that you want, that you can imagine, that you can envision. Where are the boundaries of your permitted vision? You got to press until Yah says, that's the limit. You never know that he might say yes. I'll give you a quick story here. Many years ago when my daughters were young, too often when they came to me to ask for permission on something, I was too quick to say no. And my wife, Laura, called me on it. She said, honey, you're always saying no. You need to listen to them. So I made up my mind that I would withhold my yes or no until they finished talking to me about what it was that they wanted to do or to accomplish. Then I began to understand I need to say yes. And it wasn't that I gave them everything that they wanted or always said yes. There were times I still said no. But I needed to hear them out. That showed them honor, that showed them respect. That gave them a sense of understanding. Dad's at least willing to hear me out. Sometimes they had a valid argument that I would have previously said, nah. Don't be afraid to hear no from the Father. At least you know now where a boundary is. What if Yeshua had said, or failed to pray in the garden? What if, you remember Yeshua said, I'm going to ask the Father and he will send you another comforter. What if he had failed to ask? Would we have received a comforter? Sometimes we have not because no prayers or intercessions have been made. Press, push, see where your prayers will take you. The second thing is boundaries. Yah said, I say yes, but within these boundaries. If the boundary of tribal allotment is still in place, it also reinforces the idea that Yah's other boundaries are still in place. When Yah says Shabbat is the seventh day, that boundary from the beginning of time is firmly guarded. He tells us to guard that. He guards that. He's protecting that. And that's not going to change. The boundaries of the Torah that they describe. The Torah is not a book of legalism and limitations. The Torah is the manual that tells us where the boundaries are. Where Yah works and operates in light and in life and in his favor and his joy. And beyond that boundary, he shows us that we're going to find death and destruction, darkness, detriment. He wants us to walk in the sweet spot. The Torah tells us where the sweet spot's at. So if those boundaries have not changed for tribal allotment, if he's saying yes to these women, but within these parameters, then we need to understand they still apply. Boundaries still are there, but they're there to help us. Again, we will see you next week. Shabbat Shalom again. Until then, Shalom.